Final episode begins. The Rishi said in earlier times the two asuras, Shrumbh and Nishumbh, were intoxicated by their strength. They took away the shares of sacrifices and the three worlds from Sachi's consort. In that way, they took away the rights of Surya, Chandra, Kuber, Yam, Varun, Pavan, and Agni and started to perform their tasks themselves. This is what they did to rights of other gods too. The gods were dispersed, deprived of their kingdom, and defeated. When all the gods were rooted and deprived of their rights by the great asuras, they remembered the goddess who cannot be defeated. You conferred a boon on us. Whenever we face a calamity and remember you, you will destroy all our great hardships. Having turned their minds towards the goddess, they went to the Himalayas, lord of mountains. There they praised the goddess Vishnu Maya. The gods said, "We bow down before the goddess, before Mahadevi. We always bow down to Shiva. We bow down to Prakriti, to Bhadra. We control ourselves and prostrate ourselves before her. We bow down to Raudra. We bow down to Nitya. We bow down before Gauri. We bow down before Dhatri. We prostrate ourselves before her. We bow down before the one in whom the universe is established. We bow down before the goddess who is Kritya. We prostrate ourselves before her. We bow down before the one whose form is moonlight. We bow down before the one whose form is the moon. We always prostrate ourselves before the one who is happiness. We bow down before the one who grants good fortune. We prostrate ourselves before the one who brings prosperity and success. We prostrate ourselves before the one whose form is the tortoise. We bow down before you. We bow down before Nairiti. We bow down before the one who holds up the earth. We bow down before Lakshmi. We bow down before Sharvani. We prostrate ourselves before you. We bow down before Durga. We bow down before the shore that is difficult to reach. We bow down before the one who is the essence. We bow down before the one who is the cause of all action. We bow down before the one who is fame. We bow down before the one who is dark. We always prostrate ourselves before the one who is smoky in complexion. We bow down before the one who is exceedingly gentle. We bow down before the one who is exceedingly terrible. We bow down before her. We bow down. We prostrate ourselves. We bow down before the one in whom the universe is established. We bow down before the goddess who is Kritya. We prostrate ourselves before her. The goddess is in all beings and is spoken of as Vishnu Maya. We bow down before her. We bow down before her. We bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings and is spoken of as consciousness. We bow down before her. We bow down before her. We bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of intellect. We bow down before her. We bow down before her. We bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of sleep. We bow down before her. We bow down before her. We bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of hunger. We bow down before her. We bow down before her. We bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of a shadow. We bow down before her. We bow down before her. We bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of strength. We bow down before her. We bow down before her. We bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is all beings in the form of trust. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of patience. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of existence. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down, we prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of modesty. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down, we prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of peace. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down, we prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of faith. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of beauty. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of prosperity. We bow down before her, we bow down before her. We bow down, we prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of fortitude. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of subsistence. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of memory. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of mercy. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of good policy. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of contentment. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of nourishment. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down. We prostrate ourselves. The goddess is in all beings in the form of a mother. The goddess is in all beings in the form of confusion. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down. We prostrate ourselves. She is the one who presides over the senses of all beings. She is the one who always pervades all beings. We bow down before her, we prostrate ourselves before her. She is the one who exists in the form of consciousness, pervading the entire universe. We bow down before her, we bow down before her, we bow down. We prostrate ourselves. Earlier, to obtain their wishes, the gods praised her and sought refuge with her. Indra of the gods, Isha and Dinesha, served her. She is the one who brings what is auspicious to us. She is the Ishavari, who is the cause behind everything auspicious. She is the fortunate one who destroys all calamities. We are now being tormented by the insolent Daityas. Full of faith and in forms filled with humility, the gods are prostrating themselves before you. She is the Ishwari. Remembered in this way, may she instantly destroy all our calamities. The Rishi continued, O son of a king, while the gods were praising and addressing her in this way, Parvati arrived there to bathe in the waters of the Janvi. The one with the excellent eyebrows asked the gods, Whom are you praising? Shiva manifested herself from the seats of her body and said, They utter this hymn to me because they have been routed by the Daitya Shumbha. In a battle, all the gods have been defeated by Nishumbha. Since Ambika issued from the sheaths in Parvati's body, all the worlds used the name Kaushiki to sing about her. When she emerged, Parvati turned dark. She resides in the Himalayas and is known as Kalika. After this, Ambika assumed a supremely radiant and extremely beautiful form. Chanda and Mundan, Shumbha and Nishumbha servants saw her. They went and told Shumbha, O great king, there is a woman, captivating in form, who is illuminating the Himalayas. No one has ever beheld such extraordinary beauty. O Lord of Asuras, you should find out who that beautiful woman is and accept her as your queen. She is a jewel among women, and her limbs are exceedingly beautiful. She is illuminating the directions, O Indra, among Daityas. She is standing there. You should go and see her. O Lord, you have already gathered all the jewels, gems, elephants, and horses from the three worlds in your house. From Purandara, you took away Airavata, jewel among elephants, the Parijata tree, and the horse Ucheshrava. The Creator possessed an extraordinary Viman made out of jewels and yoked to swans. You have brought that to your house too. You have brought the Devī Māhātmya from the Lord of Riches. The ocean gave you Kinjalika, the garland made out of lotus flowers that do not fade. Varuna's umbrella with golden tassels is in your house. The supreme chariot which used to belong to Prajapati is also there. You have taken away Mrityu's javelin known as Utkrantida. Your brother has seized the noose of the Lord of the waters. Nishumbha has taken away all the riches that originate in the ocean. Vahini has given you two garments that have been purified by the fire. O Indra among Daityas, in this way you have seized all the jewels. This auspicious one is a gem among women. Why aren't you sieging her? Shumbha heard the words spoken by Chanda and Munda. The great Asura sent a messenger named Sugriv to the goddess. Go to tell her and tell her my words, conveying my message. Speak so that she is pleased with me and quickly does what she has to do. He went there and saw the extremely beautiful one on the slope of the mountain. He addressed the goddess in sweet and gentle words. The messenger said, O goddess, Shumbha, the lord of the Daityas, is the supreme lord of the three worlds. He has sent me as a messenger to your presence. Those who are born in the lineages of the gods can never afford to ignore his words. He has vanquished all the enemies of the Daityas. I will tell you what he has said. Listen. All the gods in the three worlds have come under my subjugation. I now enjoy all the separate shares of sacrifices. All the supreme jewels in the three worlds are now under my control. Similarly, I have seized the jewel among elephants that used to be the mount of Indra of the gods. An extraordinary jewel among horses, known as Ucheshrava, arose from the churning of the ocean. The immortals prostrated themselves before me and handed it over to me. O beautiful one, all the riches that belong to the other gods, Gandharvas, serpents, and other beings now belong to me. O goddess, in all the worlds we think that you are a jewel among women. Since we are the ones who enjoy all the jewels now, you should follow me. O one with the flickering glances, you are a jewel. Therefore choose me or my younger brother Nishumbha. He is supreme in valor. Through my favors you will obtain supreme and unmatched riches. Hence use your intelligence to reflect on this. Come to me and serve me. Addressed in this way, the goddess Durga Bhadra, the illustrious one who sustains the universe, smiled in a mysterious way. She replied, You have spoken the truth. There is nothing false in what you have said. Shumbha is the lord of the three worlds and Nishumbha is just like him. However, I took a pledge earlier. How can I act so as to render it false? I was limited in intelligence earlier. Listen to the pledge I took then. In this world, whoever can defeat me in battle, whoever can destroy my insolence, whoever can equal my strength will be my husband. Let the great Asura, Shumbha, come here, or let it be Nishumbha. Let him defeat me. What is the need to delay? Let him quickly accept my hand. The messenger responded, O goddess, do not utter such words in my presence. You are being insulting. Which man in the three worlds can stand before Shumbha and Nishumbha? O goddess, all the other Daityas and gods were unable to stand in front of them in battle. You are a woman and you are alone. Indra and all the other gods were unable to stand before Shumbha and Nishumbha in a battle. How can a mere woman advance in front of them? Listen to my words and go to Shumbha and Nishumbha. Let it not be so that you are dragged there by the hair with all your pride shattered. The goddess replied, Such indeed is the powerful Shumbha, and such indeed is the valiant Nishumbha. But what can I possibly do? Without thinking, I took a pledge earlier. Therefore, go there and report everything that I have said. Tell the Indra among Asuras this and let him do whatever is appropriate. The Rishi said, Hearing these words of the goddess, the messenger was filled with intolerance. The king of the Asuras heard the messenger's words. He angrily spoke to Dhumralochana, lord of the Daityas. O Dhumralochana, quickly surround yourself with your own soldiers. Forcibly disable that wicked woman and bring her here, dragging her by her hair. If there is anyone else there who wishes to save her, an immortal, a yaksha or a gandharva, he deserves to be killed. Hearing this command, Dhumralochana quickly surrounded himself with 60,000 asuras and swiftly left. He saw the goddess on that snow-clad mountain and loudly shouted, Come before Shumbha and Nishumbha. If you do not cheerfully come and serve my master, I will disable you and forcibly take you there, dragging you by your hair. The goddess replied, The Lord of Daityas has sent a powerful person, surrounded by an army. If you take me there forcibly, what is it possible for me to do? O amiable one, thus addressed, the Asura Dhumralochana rushed towards her. However, with a humkara, Ambika reduced him to ashes. After this, Ambika angrily showered down sharp arrows, spears, and battle axes on the large army of Asuras. The lion, the mount of the goddess, shook its mane in rage and roared extremely fiercely. It descended on the Asura soldiers. Some Daityas were slain with a blow from the paw, others were biting with the mouth. It slew some large Asuras by striking them with its hind feet. The maned lion brought some down and tore their entrails apart with its nails. With a blow from its paws, it severed the heads of others. There were others who had their arms and heads severed. While the maned lion drank the blood from the entrails of others, in a short while, driven by great rage, the goddess's great-souled maned mount destroyed that entire army. Shumbha, the lord of the Daityas, heard that the Asura Dhumralochana had been killed by the goddess and that the entire army had been destroyed by the goddess's lion. His lips quivered in rage and he commanded the two great Asuras, Chanda and Munda. O Chanda, O Munda, surround yourselves with many forces. You should go there. Having gone there, swiftly bring her here, drag her by her hair, or bind her. In the course of the battle, if there is some uncertainty about this and you find that all the Asuras are being killed with all manner of weapons, then kill her. Alternatively, when the wicked Ambika's lion has been killed, siege and bind her and quickly return here. The Rishi said, Commanded in this way, with the Daityas, Chanda and Munda at the forefront, an army with the four kinds of forces departed, raising up their weapons. They saw the goddess on that large and golden summit of that Indra among mountains. She was astride the lion and seemed to be smiling slightly. On seeing her, they got ready to set about their task. Some drew their bows, others held swords and approached her. Ambika became very angry with the enemy. Because of her rage, her face turned as black as ink. When she furrowed her brows, Kali, terrible to behold, emerged from the base of her forehead, wielding a sword and a noose. She was adorned in a garland made out of human skulls, and she held a colorful khatvanga. She was clad in tiger skin, and because her flesh was dried up, she was extremely terrible. Her mouth was exceedingly large, and a fierce tongue lolled out. Her red eyes were sunken, and her roar filled with the directions. She descended with great force and slew the large asuras. She devoured the soldiers in the army of the enemies of the gods. With one hand, she seized the elephants and flung them into her mouth, along with the riders who guarded the flanks, the drivers with the goats, the warriors and the bells. Similarly, she flung warriors, horses, chariots, and charioteers into her mouth and used her teeth to chew them up in the most terrible fashion. One was seized by the hair, another by the throat. Some were kicked by the foot, others were pressed against her chest. The asuras released shastras and great astras. She angrily seized some with her mouth and crushed others with her teeth. Among all these evil-souled asuras, there were some who were the strongest of the strong. She devoured some of these and crushed others. There were others that were struck. Some were slain with swords. Others were struck with the khatvang. In that battle, struck by the tips of her teeth, the asuras headed towards destruction. In a short while, that giant army of asuras was brought down. On seeing the extremely terrible Kali, Chanda rushed towards her. Her eyes were terrible to behold, and the giant asura showered down extremely terrible arrows on her. Munda hurled thousands of chakras and enveloped her. As these many chakras entered her mouth, it seemed as if many solar discs were entering into a cloud. The terrible one laughed in rage, and her roar was fierce. Kali's blazing teeth could be seen inside her cruel mouth and were impossible to behold. Astride the giant lion, the goddess rushed towards Chanda. She seized him by the hair and severed his head with her sword. Having severed the head of the Indra among Daityas, she emitted an exceedingly terrible roar. The three worlds were terrified at this loud roar. On seeing that Chanda had been brought down, Munda rushed forward. She angrily struck him with the khatvanga and brought him down on the ground. The remaining soldiers saw that Chanda and the extremely valiant Munda had been brought down. Afflicted by fear, they fled in different directions. Kali seized the heads of Chanda and Munda. She laughed loudly and approached Chandika. She said, I have brought the large animals, Chanda and Munda, here to you. In the battle, that is a sacrifice, you will yourself kill Shumbh and Nishumbh. Seeing that Kali had brought the two large asuras, Chanda and Munda, the fortunate Chandika addressed her in these beautiful words. The goddess said, O goddess, since you have seized the giant asuras, Chanda and Munda, and have come, you will be famous in the world as Chamunda. The rishi said, Chanda was killed and the Daitya Munda was brought down. Many soldiers were slaughtered. Shumbha, the powerful lord of the Asuras, succumbed to great rage. He instructed that all the soldiers of the Daityas should be got ready. Let the 86 Udayuddha Daityas march forth with all their forces now. Let the 84 Kambus emerge, surrounding themselves with their own forces. Following my commands, let 50 lineages of Kotivirya Asuras and 100 from the Dhumra lineage emerge. Following my commands, let Kalaka, Daurihirta, Maurya and Kalikeya Asuras ready themselves for battle and emerge. Having instructed this, Shumbha, the lord of the Asuras, who was terrible in his rule, also emerged, surrounding himself with a large army consisting of many thousands of soldiers. Chandika saw this extremely dreadful army advance. She twanged her bowstring and filled the space between the earth and the firmament with that sound. O king, the lion also emitted an extremely loud roar. Ambika enhanced that sound with the sound of a bell. All the directions were filled with the sound of the twanging of the bow, the roaring of the lion and the sound of the bell. With her mouth gaping wide, Kali let out a terrible roar of victory. That sound filled the four directions. Hearing this, the Daitya soldiers surrounded the goddess Kali and the lion with torrents of arrows. O Lord of the earth, meanwhile, so as to destroy the enemies of the gods and ensure the lion's welfare, extremely strong and valiant energies issued from the bodies of Brahma, Isha and Guha, Vishnu, Rudra and the other immortals, and went in those forms to Chandika. The form of the energy was exactly like that of the respective god, with identical ornaments and mounts. These forms advanced so as to fight with the Asuras. Brahma's energy arrived in the form of Brahmani. She was astride a Vimana drawn by swans and held a water pot and a string of akshbeats. Maheshwara's energy arrived in the form of Maheshwari. She was astride a bull and held an excellent trident. A giant serpent was her bangle, and her ornament was a digit of the moon. Kumara's energy was in the form of Kumari. She was astride an excellent peacock. In Guha's form, she arrived before Ambika so as to fight with the Daityas. Vishnu's energy was in the form of Vaishnavi. She was stationed astride Garuda and advanced with a conch shell, a chakra, a mace, the Sharanga bow, and a sword in her hands. Hari's energy was resplendent in the form of Varahi, an unmasked form fashioned from Varaha. She advanced in that dazzling form. Similarly, Nrisimha led to the radiant form of Narasimhi. As she arrived, the shaking of her mane scattered away clusters of nakshatras. Indra's energy was in the form of Andri, wielding a vajra in her hand and astride a king among elephants. She possessed 1,000 eyes, just like Shakra. When she was surrounded by all those energies of the gods, Ishana told Chandika, "To please me, quickly slay the Asuras." At this, an extremely fierce energy emerged from Chandika's body, howling like 100 jackals together. The unvanquished one spoke to Ishana, whose hair was matted and smoky. "O illustrious one, as my messenger, please go to Shumbha and Nishumbha's presence. Speak to Shumbha and Nishumbha, those two extremely insolent Danavas, and to all the other Danavas who have arrived here to fight. Indra will regain the three worlds and the gods will get back their shares in sacrifices. If you wish to live, leave for Patal. However, if you are proud of your strength and wish to fight, come before me. My jackals will be satisfied with your flesh." Thus, the goddess appointed Shiva himself as her messenger. Thereafter, she became famous in the worlds by the name of Shivaduti. Hearing the words of the goddess, as recounted by Sharva, the great Asuras were filled with intolerance and went to the place where Katyayani was. At first, the enemies of the immortals tried to counter the goddess by raining down showers of arrows, javelins, and swords. She countered them with arrows, tridents, javelins, and battle axes. As if toying, she severed their weapons with large arrows released from her bow. Kali was in front, driving them away with bows from her trident. She roamed around, uprooting them with her khatvanga. Wherever the enemy ran, Brahmani pursued them and sprinkled water from the water pot on them, taking away their strength and energy. Maheshwari killed Daityas with her trident, Vaishnavi with her chakra, and the extremely angry Kaumari with her spear. Andri used blows of the Vajra to shatter hundreds of Daityas and Danavas. She flung them down, showering the earth with torrents of blood. The form of Varahi used her snout and the tips of her tusks to shatter their chests. She mangled them with her chakra. Narsimhi rode around, filling the directions with her roars. She used her nails to tear apart the giant asuras and devoured the others. Shivaduti taunted the asuras with her loud and fierce laughter. They fell down on the ground, and when they had fallen down, she ate them. Enraged, the large number of matris crushed the giant asuras, using many different kinds of means to oppress the enemies of the gods. Seeing that they were thus afflicted by the large number of matris, the other Daityas started to flee. Angry, the giant Asura, Raktabij, advanced to fight. When a drop of his blood fell down on the ground from his body, another giant Asura, just like him in appearance, arose from the ground. With a club in his hand, the giant Asura started to fight with Andri. Andri struck Raktabija with her own Vajra. Struck by the Vajra, many streams of blood instantly started to flow. However, other warriors immediately arose, just like him in form and strength. As long as drops of blood from his body continued to fall down, men who were identical to him in valor, strength, and bravery arose. Those men created from the blood continued to fight. Just like him in form, they fiercely fought with the large number of matris, showering down terrible weapons. He was once again wounded in the head with a blow from the Vajra. However, when the blood flowed, thousands of men were born from this. In the battle, Vaishnavi struck him with the chakra. Andri struck the lord among asuras with a club. Mangled by Vaishnavi's chakra, there were flows of blood. However, thousands of asuras, who were just like him in size, were created and covered the earth. Kaumari struck him with a spear and Varahi with a sword. Maheshwari struck the giant Asura Raktabija with a trident. The Daitya struck each of the matris back with a club. Raktabija, the giant Asura, was engulfed with rage. He was struck with many spears, tridents, and other weapons. However, when the blood fell down on the ground, hundreds and hundreds of other asuras were created. The asuras created from the asura covered the entire universe. When everything was covered, the gods were filled with great fear. On seeing that the gods were distressed, Chandika spoke quickly. She said, "O Kali, O Chamunda, stretch out your gaping mouths. When I strike Raktabija with weapons, great asuras are generated from the drops of his blood. Roam around in the field of battle. Receive the drops in your mouths and devour the great asuras as soon as they are generated. In this way, as his blood is exhausted, the Daitya will head towards destruction. When you devour those fierce ones, no others will be generated." Saying this, the goddess struck him with a trident and Kali received Raktabija's blood in her mouth. At this, he struck Chandika with his club. However, despite the blow of the club, she did not feel the slightest bit of pain. Struck by her, a lot of blood started to flow from his body, but all of this was received by Chamunda in her mouth. From the flow of blood, large asuras were generated inside her mouth, but Chamunda devoured them and drank up the blood. The goddess struck Raktabija with her trident, chakra, arrow, sword, and double-edged sword, and Chamunda drank up the blood. O Lord of the earth, struck by those weapons, Raktabija, the giant Asura, became bereft of blood and lay down on the ground lifeless. O King, the gods were filled with unmatched delight. Having drunk the blood, the large number of Matris were intoxicated and danced around. The king said, "O illustrious one, you have told me a wonderful account about the goddess's conduct and greatness. Based on the slaying of Raktabija, I now want to know what Shumba did. What about the extremely wrathful Nishumbha?" The rishi replied, "Hearing that Raktabija had been brought down and that others had been killed in the battle, the Asura, Shumba and Nishumbha were filled with unsurpassed rage. On seeing that the large army had been slaughtered, Nishumbha was filled with great intolerance and rushed forward with the best among the Asura soldiers. Giant Asuras were in front of him, behind him, and to his sides. They angrily bit their lips in rage and advanced to kill the goddess. The immensely valiant Shumba arrived, surrounded by his own soldiers. He was filled with rage. To kill Chandika, he fought with the Matris. There was a terrible battle between the goddess and the Shumba and Nishumbha. They showered down fierce arrows like clouds showering down rain. Chandika shot her own arrows and severed those arrows. She used torrents of weapons to strike the two lords among Asuras on their limbs. Nishumbha seized a sharp sword and an extremely radiant shield. He struck the lion, the goddess's excellent mount, on the head. When her mount was struck, the goddess used Shurupra arrow to swiftly cut down Nishumbha's sword. She also severed his shield with the marks of 8 moons inscribed on it. When the sword and the shield were shivered, the Asura hurled a spear. However, as it descended, she sliced it into two with her chakra. Filled with rage, the Danava Nishumbha seized a trident, but as it descended, the goddess shattered it into fragments with a blow of her fists. After this, he seized a club and hurled it towards Chandika, but the goddess shattered this with her trident and reduced it to ashes. The bull among Daityas then advanced with a battle axe in his hand. The goddess struck him with a torrent of arrows and brought him down on the ground. When Nishumbha, terrible in valor, was brought down on the ground, his brother was filled with great rage and advanced so as to kill Ambika. He was on his chariot and seized excellent weapons in his 8 arms, which were so unmatched that they seemed to stretch up and cover the firmament. Seeing that he was advancing, the goddess blew on her conch shell. She twanged her bowstring, and that sound was impossible to tolerate. She filled the directions with the sound of a bell, and this saved the energy of all the Daitya soldiers. The lion filled the earth, the sky, and the 10 directions with its loud roar, and this vanquished the must. Kali leapt up and struck the earth and the sky with her hands, this sound eclipsing all the previous sounds. Shivaduti laughed out aloud in an inauspicious tone. The Asuras were terrified at the sound, and Shumba was filled with great rage. Ambika told the evil-souled, "Wait, wait." Stationed in the sky, the gods uttered benedictions of victory. As Shumba advanced, he hurled an extremely terrible and blazing spear. It descended like a mass of fire, but she repulsed it with her great fire. O Lord of the earth, Shumba roared like a lion and filled the 3 worlds. But the terrible sound of thunder originating in the sky surpassed this. The goddess countered the arrows Shumba shot, and Shumba countered the arrows the goddess shot. In this way, they respectively severed hundreds and thousands of such fierce arrows with their own arrows. After this, Chandika angrily struck him with her trident. Struck in this way, he fell down on the ground senseless. By then, Nishumbha had regained his senses. He seized a bow and struck the goddess Kali and the lion with his arrows. Diti's descendant, the lord of the Danavas, then used his 10,000 arms to shroud Chandika with 10,000 chakras. The illustrious Durga, the destroyer of all hardships, became enraged. Using her own arrows, she severed those chakras and arrows. Nishumbha seized a club and rushed towards Chandika with great force, surrounding himself with the soldiers and desiring to kill her. As it descended, Chandika quickly severed the club with her sharp sword. He seized a spear. With that spear in his hand, Nishumbha, the afflicter of the immortals, rushed forward. However, Chandika powerfully pierced him in the heart with her trident. When his heart was shattered, another man emerged from inside it. He was immensely strong and immensely valiant. "Wait," he exclaimed, but as he was emerging, the goddess laughed out aloud. She shivered his head with her sword, and it fell down on the ground. With its sharp teeth, the lion tore apart the necks of other asuras and ate them. Kali and Shivaduti devoured others. Kaumari shattered other great asuras with her spear. Brahmani repulsed others with her pure mantras. Maheshwari shattered and brought down others with her trident. With blows from her snout, Varahi shattered others and brought them down on the ground. Vaishnavi used her chakra to slice Danavas into fragments. Releasing the Vajra from her hand, Andri struck others. Some brave Asuras were destroyed in this way. Some perished in the course of the great battle. Others were devoured by Kali, Shivaduti, and the king of deer. The Rishi said, Sumbha saw that his brother whom he loved as much as his own life had been killed, and that his army had been destroyed. He angrily spoke these words, O Durga, O wicked one, you are surviving on the strength of others. Forget your pride. You are proud because you are fighting on the basis of the strength of others. The goddess replied, I am alone in this universe. Other than me, where is the second one who exists? O wicked one, behold, all these manifestations of mine are entering my own form. All the other goddesses, Brahmani and the others, entered into the breasts of the goddess, and Ambika remained there alone. The goddess said, I manifest myself in many different forms. All of them have been drawn into me, and I alone remain. Be steady. An extremely terrible battle then commenced between Shumbha and the goddess, while all the gods and the Asuras looked on. There were showers of sharp arrows, extremely dreadful astras and shastras were used. The battle that raged between them caused great fear to the worlds. Ambika released hundreds of divine and other weapons. The Indra among Daityas countered them with his own weapons. He too unleashed many divine weapons. As if she was toying, Parmeshwari shattered them by uttering Humkara. The Asura enveloped the goddess with hundreds of arrows. Enraged, the goddess used her arrows to sever his bow. When his bow was severed, the Indra among Daityas seized a spear. However, while it was still in his hand, the goddess used a chakra to sever this. The king of lords among the Daityas then seized a sword and a shield as resplendent as the sun, decorated with the marks of 100 moons. He rushed forward to kill her. As it descended, Chandika used sharp arrows released from her bow to swiftly sever the sword and the shield that sparkled like the sun. She brought down his horses and his chariot along with the charioteer. The Daityas' horses were slain, his bow was severed, and he was without a chariot. Preparing to kill Ambika, he grabbed a terrible bludgeon. As it descended, she used her sharp arrows to sever the bludgeon. Nevertheless, he rushed forward powerfully, raising his fists. The bull among Daityas brought down his fist on the goddess's chest. However, the goddess struck him with a blow from her palm. With that slap of the palm, he fell down on the ground. But the king of Daitya suddenly arose again. He seized the goddess and leapt up into the sky. Without any support, Chandika fought with him there. The Daitya and Chandika wrestled with each other there. At first, this caused great amazement among the Siddhas and the sages. For a very long time, he wrestled in this way with Ambika. After this, she picked him up, whirled him around, and flung him down on the ground. Though he was flung down on the ground in this way, the evil-souled one rose up. He raised his fists and rushed forward, desiring to kill Chandika. The lord of all the Daitya subjects advanced, but the goddess pierced him in the chest with her trident and felled him on the ground. Mangled by the points of the goddess's trident, he lost his life and fell down on the ground. When that evil-souled one was killed, the entire earth along with its oceans, dvipas and mountains turned pleasant. The world turned exceedingly beneficial. The sky became clear and sparkling. When he died, the clouds and meteors that had arisen were pacified. When Shumbha was slain, the rivers began to flow along their courses. The minds of all the large number of gods were filled with joy. When he was killed, the Gandharvas sang in melodious voices. Other musical instruments were sounded. Large numbers of apsaras danced. An auspicious breeze started to blow. The rays of the sun turned radiant. Sacrificial fires that had been pacified blazed again. Tranquil sounds were heard in all the directions. The Rishi said, when the great Indra of the Asuras was killed by the goddess, the desires of the gods were satisfied. Their auspicious faces bloomed like lotuses and illuminated the directions. With Indra and Agni at the forefront, they praised the goddess. The gods said, O goddess, show us your favors. You are the one who removes the afflictions of those who seek refuge with you. Show us your favors. You are the mother of the entire universe. O Vishweshwari, show us your favors. Save the universe. O goddess, you are the Ishwari of everything that is mobile and immobile. You alone are the support for the entire universe. You are the one who exists in the form of the earth. It is your own form that exists in the water. O one whose valor cannot be transgressed, you are the one who pervades everything. You are the Vaishnavi power. You are infinite in your valor. You are the seed of the universe. You are the supreme Maya. O goddess, everything is confounded by you. When you are pleased, you are the cause behind liberation from the earth. You are all kinds of knowledge. O goddess, all the different women in the universe are but your forms. O mother, you alone fill everything up. How can one praise you? You are beyond praise. You are superior to the best of words. O goddess, you exist in every being. You are the one who grants enjoyment and emancipation. You are the one who should be praised, but which are the supreme words that can be used to praise you? You are the one who exists in the hearts of all beings in the form of intelligence. You are the one who grants heaven and emancipation. O goddess, O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. You exist in the form of Kala, Kashta and the others. You are the one who grants consequences. You are the power that leads to the destruction of the universe. O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. O beneficial one, O one who brings about every kind of benefit. O auspicious one, O one who ensures every kind of success. O one who is a refuge. O three-eyed one, O Gauri, O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. O eternal power who is behind creation, preservation and destruction. O refuge of all the gunas. O one who is full of gunas. O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. O one who is devoted to saving the distressed and the afflicted who seek refuge with you. O one who removes the afflictions of everyone. O goddess, O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. In the form of Brahmani, you are on a Vimana that is yoked to swans. You are the one who sprinkles water mixed with kusha grass. O goddess, O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. In the form of Maheshwari, you are astride a large bull, holding a trident, the moon and a serpent. O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. O unblemished one, in the form of Kaumari, you are surrounded by peacocks and cocks and wield a large spear. O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. In the form of Vaishnavi, you hold a conch shell, a chakra, a mace and a sharang bow. Show us your favors. O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. In the form of Varahi, you wielded a large chakra and raised up the earth on the tip of your tusks. O auspicious one, O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. In the form of the fierce Narasimhi, you made efforts to destroy the Daityas. You are the one who is associated with saving the three worlds. O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. In the form of Andri, you wear a diadem and wield a giant Vajra. You possess 1,000 dazzling eyes. You are the one who took away Vritra's life. O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. In the form of Shivaduti, you slew the immensely strong Daityas. O one whose form is terrible, O one whose roar is loud, O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. You crushed Munda in the form of Chamunda. Your face has cruel fangs and your ornament is a necklace of skulls. O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. O Lakshmi, O Lajja, O great Vidya, O Shraddha, O Pushti, O Swadha, O Dhruva, O Maharatri, O Mahamaya, O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. O intellect, O Saraswati, O Supreme One, O prosperity, O Bhabravi, O Dark One, O one who restrains, show us your favors. O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. O one whose hands and feet are everywhere. O one whose eyes, heads and mouths are in every direction. O one whose senses of hearing and smell are in every direction. O Narayani, I prostrate myself before you. O one whose form is in everything. O one who is the Lord of everything. O one who possesses all the powers. Save us from fear. O goddess, O Durga, I prostrate myself before you. Your face adorned with three eyes is amiable. Save us from all kinds of fear. O Katyayani, I prostrate myself before you. Your trident is fierce, dreadful, and blazing. It is the destroyer of Asuras. Use it to save us from fear. O Bhadrakali, I prostrate myself before you. Your bell filled the universe with its sound and robbed the Daityas of their energy. O goddess, we are like your sons. Use it to protect us from all kinds of sin. O Chandika, the sword glistens in your hand and is smeared with mud created by the blood and fat of Asuras. We are bowing down before you. Use it to bring us what is auspicious. When you are satisfied, you take away all kinds of disease and grant all the objects of desire that are wished for. But when dissatisfied, you take these away. Men who seek refuge with you never suffer. Those who seek refuge with you become refuges for others. O goddess, you have now caused a great carnage among the giant Asuras who hated Dharma. Though you are one, you created many kinds of forms. O Ambika, who other than you can do something like that? In knowledge, in the sacred texts, in the lamp of discrimination, and in all the worlds, there is no one other than you. This sense of mine is a great darkness. Other than you, who else can whirl the universe around in this way? You are established and save the universe wherever there are Rakshasas, terrible and virulent Nagas, enemies, powerful bandits, forest conflagrations, and ocean depths. O Vishveshwari, you are the one who saves the universe. You are the one whose Atman is the universe. You are the one who holds up the universe. The lords of the universe bow down devotedly before you. You are the refuge of the universe. O goddess, just as you have instantly saved us from miseries now, always protect us from all kinds of fear. Pacify all the sins and evil portents in the universe, and deliver us from the mire of all great calamities. O, we are prostrating ourselves before you. Show us your favors. O goddess, O one who removes the afflictions of the universe, O one who deserves to be worshipped by everyone who resides in the three worlds, bestow boons on the worlds. The goddess replied, O large number of gods, I will confer a boon. Ask for the boon that is in your minds. For the sake of the welfare of the universe, I will grant whatever you ask for. The gods said, O one who is the Lord of everything, let it be such that all the impediments in the three worlds are pacified. You should act so that all our enemies are destroyed. The goddess replied, when the 28th Yuga of Vaivashvata Manvantara arrives, there will be two other great Asuras named Sumbh and Nishumbh. At that time I will reside on the slopes of the Vindhya mountains, born through Yashoda's womb, in Nanda's lineage. I will then destroy them. After that, I will again descend on earth in an extremely fierce form and destroy the Danavas born in Viprachiti's lineage. I will devour the fierce Danavas born in Viprachiti's lineage. Like the flower of a pomegranate, my teeth will turn red. Therefore, the gods in heaven and men in the mortal world will praise me and speak of me as Raktadantika. Thereafter, for 100 years, it will not shower down from the clouds. Praised by the sages, I will appear on earth, but will not be born from a womb, since I will glance at the sages with 100 eyes. Men will use the word Shatakshi to chant about me. At that time I will sustain all the worlds with vegetables that will grow from my body. O gods, when it does not rain, those vegetables will sustain life. At that time I will be famous on earth under the name of Shakambari. At that time I will slay the giant Asura known as Durgam. Therefore I will be famous under the name of the goddess Durga. Next I will assume a terrible form in the Himalayas to devour the Rakshasas and save the sages. At that time all the sages will respectfully lower their bodies and praise me. I will be famous under the name of the goddess Bhima. Later, the Asura known as Arunaksha will create great obstructions in the three worlds. For the welfare of the three worlds, I will assume the form of a bee, and with innumerable other bees will slay him. All the worlds will then praise me under the name of Brahmari. In this way, when Danavas cause impediments, I will descend on earth and destroy the enemy. The goddess continued, if a man controls himself and praises me through this hymn, there is no doubt that I will always remove all his impediments. This is an account of the destruction of Madhu and Katabha, the slaying of Mahisasura, and the death of Shumbha and Nishumbha. With single-minded attention, this should be chanted on the 8th, 9th and 14th lunar tithis. If a person devotedly satisfies me through this excellent Mahatmya, no evildoer will be able to do the slightest bit of evil to him, nor will he suffer from any calamity. He will not face penury or separation from those he loves. He will face no fear from enemies, bandits or kings, nor will there be any fear from weapons, fire or water. Therefore, this Mahatmya of mine must be read with a controlled mind. If one desires great benedictions, one must always listen to it with supreme devotion. This Mahatmya of mine pacifies all the evil portents, great epidemics, and the 3 kinds of calamities. If this is properly read in a place that becomes my abode, and I never leave it, my presence there is assured. At the time of offering sacrifices, performing worship, tending to fire rites, or during great festivals, at all these my conduct must be recited and heard, knowingly or inadvertently. If a person offers sacrifices to me, worships me, or renders fire rites to me, I accept it happily during the great annual festival at autumn. If a person faithfully listens to my Mahatmya, he is freed from all impediments. He becomes the possessor of riches and grain. There is no doubt that such a man receives my favors. If a man listens to my Mahatmya, or separately to the auspicious account of my origin and valor in battle, he conquers fear, his enemies head towards destruction, and he obtains benefit. If a man listens to my Mahatmya, his lineage is delighted. Whenever there are rites to ensure peace, when nightmares are seen, and when there is terrible oppression from the planets, let my Mahatmya be heard. Let my Mahatmya be heard. Evil portents and the terrible suffering due to planets will be pacified. Men who see nightmares will see happy dreams instead. This brings peace to children who have been grasped by demons that siege children. When men suffer from conflict and dissension, it brings about excellent friendly relations. When it is read, there is the destruction of all the evildoers, Rakshasas, Bhutas and Pisachas. Their great strength is destroyed. Everything in my Mahatmya gives a person the right to be near me. There are ways to please me through offering excellent animals, flowers, arghya, incense, fragrances and lamps, by feeding Brahmanas, offering oblations, sprinkling water day and night, and giving many kinds of objects of pleasure throughout the year. But all this good merit can be obtained by listening to my conduct. Hearing about this destroys all sins and grants freedom from disease. Reciting the account of my origin, my conduct in battle, and the destruction of the wicked Daityas protects all beings. A man who hears this does not suffer from any fear caused by the enemy. The praises uttered by you, the praises uttered by the Brahmana Rishis, and the praises uttered by the Brahma grant an auspicious destination. If a man remembers my conduct, he is freed from hardships in forests and desolate regions. When surrounded by a forest conflagration, when surrounded by bandits in a lonely spot, when seized by enemies, when followed in the forest by lions, tigers, and wild elephants, when a king is angry and has commanded that the man be killed or bound, when his boat is in a large ocean and is whirled around by a storm, when extremely fierce weapons descend in the course of a battle, and when he is severely afflicted by pain from all manner of dreadful obstructions, when he She remembers my conduct because of my powers. Lions and others, bandits and enemies flee a long distance away. The Rishi said. The illustrious Chandi, terrible in her valor, said this. While the gods looked on, she instantly vanished. The gods were freed from fear and regained their former rights. With their enemies slain, they enjoyed their shares of the sacrifices. The Daityas were killed by the goddess in battle. The immensely fierce Shumba was unmatched in valor and had brought destruction to the world. The Nishumbha was immensely valiant. Both of them went to Patala. O Lord of the earth, in this way the illustrious goddess repeatedly manifests herself to protect the world. She is the one who confounds the universe. She is the one from whom the universe originates. When entreated, she grants Vijnan. When satisfied, she confers prosperity. O Lord of men, she pervades the entire Brahmand. She is Mahakali. At the time of the great destruction, she is the great epidemic. She is the great epidemic at the time of destruction. She is the origin of creation. She is without birth. She is the eternal one who ensures the preservation of beings when the time for that arrives. At the appropriate time, she resides in the homes of men in the form of Lakshmi and bestows prosperity. When she is not present, she is in the form of a Lakshmi and brings about destruction. When she is praised and worshipped with flowers, fragrances, incense, and other things, she bestows wealth, sons, inclination towards dharma, and an auspicious end. The Rishi said, O Lord of the earth, I have thus described the excellent Devī Māhātmya to you. It is through such powers that the goddess holds up the universe. She is the illustrious Vishnu's Maya and acts so as to grant knowledge. However, she also confounds you, this Vashya and others who are discriminating. When they are confounded, they confound others too. O great king, therefore go and seek refuge with Parameshwari. When she is worshipped, she grants men objects of pleasure, heaven and emancipation. Mārkandeya continued. Hearing his words, King Suratha bowed down before the immensely fortunate Rishi, who was firm in his vows. He had been distressed because of his sense of mind and because he had been deprived of his kingdom. O great sage, he immediately went off to perform austerities, and so did the Vashya. So as to see Amba, the Vashya tormented himself through austerities along the banks of a river and meditated on the supreme hymn to the goddess. On the banks of the river, the two of them fashioned an earthen image of the goddess. Having done this, they rendered her offerings of flowers, incense, fire, and water oblations. They fasted, controlled themselves, and fixed their minds on her. They rendered her offerings sprinkled with blood drawn from their own bodies. In this way, they controlled their Atmans and worshipped her for 3 years. After this, Chandika, who holds up the universe, was satisfied and manifested herself before them. The goddess said, O king, O delight of the lineage, I am satisfied with you. Therefore, through my favors, you will get everything that you wish for. In his next life, the king asked for a kingdom that would not be destroyed. In this life, he asked that he might be able to use force to kill the enemy and get his own kingdom back. The Vashya's mind was detached and he asked for Gnan, so that he might possess the wisdom to get rid of notions of me and mine, the causes of deviation and attachment. The goddess replied, O Lord of men, you will get back your own kingdom within a few days. That will happen after you have slain all your enemies. When you die, you will born through the god Vivaswat. Your name will be Savarnika, and you will be a Manu on earth. O noble Vashya, I will grant you the boon you have desired. I will grant you success in obtaining Gnan. Thus the goddess granted them the boons they wished for. She was devotedly worshipped by them and immediately vanished. In this way, Suratha, bull among Kshatriyas, obtained a boon from the goddess. Having been brought through Surya, he will be Savarni Manu.